In the first video of this lesson, we saw how functions can be a practical way to put complex code into a script element to be run only when requested. Well, wouldn't it be cool to be able to code functions that can work in different but similar situations, so only having to write the code once? Well, we can. The key is to design functions that accept arguments that specify the details in each situation. In this video, we'll create a function that displays a pop-up window listing participants in some activity, and show how to invoke the function passing arguments that describe the details in each distinct but similar activity. Here's a simplified version of a web page I use to support the activities of the Denver-Takayama Sister City Committee. The highlights. The page has a textured background. Details are covered in the Advanced Course Series. There is a logo. We've already shown how to display logos. The page displays 2 future events, each with a link to sign up. This points to an email link, and a link to display who has already signed up, and this will be our main focus actually. Note that the link to see who has signed up also includes the date the list was last updated. There's actually code on this page for 3 events, but when we have fewer than 3, we use the hidden attribute. Using this page as a model and concrete example, we'll look at the body first, then the contents of the head element. So we start with this. For the body element, for now, we'll just code body class equals back. We'll look at the class definitions when we examine the related style sheet. For now, I'll just point out that the back class defines how we get the textured background. Next, we have H1, class equals top logo. Image, source equals images / Takayama logo.jpg. Alt equals Takayama logo, class equals left. Welcome to the Denver-Takayama Sister City Committee. Break. Activities page. Break. Span class equals lesser. Our coming events. End span and H1. This displays the logo file adjacent to the text, Welcome to the Denver-Takayama Sister City Committee. Then a new line and activities page, and then 2 new lines to get some spacing, and in a smaller type size, our coming events. After the H1 element, we have a couple of paragraphs with non-breaking spaces. This forces spacing past the bottom of the logo image. This is followed by a paragraph with class equals bluer and ID equals events, and underline coming events / activities. Now the class name bluer is defined to display a Comic Sans font in oblique style and a blue color. And we have another blank line with thin spacing to provide some visual offset. Class equals thin and a non-breaking space. I spend a lot of time trying to get text, images, and empty space in a pleasing, readable arrangement, so little adjustments like the above are common in my HTML. Now we come to the first event. Let's map out the pieces that make each event unique. The date of the event, the name of the event, the location of the event, a link to send an email to sign up for the event, optionally a fuller description of the event, maybe with links to further background, a paragraph that when clicked will display a pop-up window containing the list of people who have already signed up. Note that the onClick event handler for this paragraph invokes a function, and this time it passes 5 parameters. Short title, to use in the title element of the pop-up window. The event, to use in the window name and in the body of the pop-up. Attendees, name the array that contains the list of who is coming. the place to reflect the event location in the pop-up, and update to tell the viewer how current the information is. We'll see how the function receives and uses these parameters in a bit. Next, we repeat the pattern for the second and third events. Notice how we change the names of the parameters for the second activity. For the third entry, since we don't currently have a third activity, we have commented out the first paragraph of the section and set the second paragraph to be hidden. The remainder of the page is pretty straightforward. By the way, if you've set up for running the labs, the files used here are available in your My Web Files directory under the names dscidemo.html and popupstyle.css. Now, with that as background, let's take a look at the head element. We have standard code for doc type and HTML, head, meta, title, and link to a style sheet. And this style sheet is in your lab files, by the way. A large script element containing declaration and initialization for a couple of variables, win count and I, information for 3 events, and for each event we have short title used in the title element for the pop-up, update to reflect the latest date for this event information, the event, a description of the event, the place, the location of the event, and attendees, an array containing the names of who will be attending the event. Note that the second and third events have 2 and 3, respectively, appended to the variable names. Note there is no magic here, not even any automation, although that could be done down the road. When someone signs up, I manually go to the HTML and add their name to the array of attendees, as well as update the information on the latest date for the list. Then, of course, save the list and upload the page to my server. So the next person to check out the list will see the current value. We demonstrate this in just a bit. Next, we look at the function definition for show who is coming, which accepts 5 parameters. Short, used in the title element for the pop-up, event, a description of the event, who, the array containing the names of who will be attending the event, where, the location of the event, and update to reflect the latest date for this event information. Parameters in the function definition map to parameters passed to the function when invoked in positional order. It's important to understand that spelling has nothing to do with passing and receiving parameters. In fact, the names in the function definition should not be the names of any variables in the page. So here's the function header, show who is coming, short, event, who, where, update. And here's the invocation, on click, show who is coming, short title, the event, attendees, the place, update. So in the function body, the definition, wherever the name of the first parameter is found, it will get the value assigned to the first parameter that is passed on invocation. Similarly for other parameters. The first parameter appears like this in just one place. The second parameter appears like this in just 2 places. The third parameter appears like this in 2 places, and one is in a loop. The fourth parameter appears like this in just one place. And the fifth parameter appears like this in just one place. Notice that the values we are passing to our function are variables, all of which are defined in the script element. However, you can pass variables defined in, say, an event handler, and you can pass literals, numbers, or character strings in quotes. For example, P, onClick equals var, item equals burger, so we define a variable called item, and then invoke demo vals, passing our variable, item, and then 34, a numeric literal, and then, in quotes, special order, a string literal. Now we demonstrate adding a new person, Rocky Feelings, to our second event. So we go, just to show you that, we go to our HTML and bring up our page in Notepad, of course. Then we go to the event and select the last entry in the array, and Control C to copy it into the clipboard, and then Control V to paste it, and then change the name of the person. Then, since we've made a change in the list, we need to change the date. Then save it, Control S, and upload it to our browser, refresh the browser, and check the value. There it is. Now, to demonstrate activating our third event, we get to the HTML and update the values in the script element. Change the title, what this is going to be, Japanese meal and a movie. And change the date of the event, or to the date it's updated actually, and then details of the event, a little more complete description perhaps. And then update the location to reflect where the event will be held. Fairmont Place, very nice little place. And then we can add our first name to the array of attendees. Then we go down into the body and find the event 3 and uncomment the paragraph for that event and remove the hidden attribute from the second paragraph. Also, we can update the description in the body itself. Same kind of information we put up in the script variables. This is going to be displayed. Update the subject on the mail to line. And then, again, we save it and upload it to our server and display it in our browser. There is one hidden part we've been ignoring. Remember that for each event, on the line where you can click to get the pop-up window, there is a date value. How do we get that there? Well, you could go into the body and key in a new value each time you make a change. But a better option is to use an existing value already in your script element. How to get that value into your body? Well, we look at a new event, the load event. This is triggered when your browser loads the page. So in your body element, you can code an onload event handler. Here's what we have in our sample. Body class equals back, onload equals document.getElementById head 1, first child, insert data from column 62, the value in update. Now 62 we calculated as the width of the basic line, and update 2 and update 3 were the values in your script element, and head 1, head 2, head 3 are the ID values in the body. So this makes that connection. So at the time the page is loaded, the values in update, update 2, and update 3 are used to insert the latest update information for the 3 events. This is why I use the hidden attribute for the link paragraph instead of just commenting it out. With the paragraph hidden, the update will still take place. If I comment out the whole paragraph, then the update is an error, although the user will not see the error. Finally, let's take a brief look at the style sheet we used here. So here's our page with our style sheet laid on top of it. And looking at our very top center is our text, "Welcome to Denver Takayama," and that is the element H1 with a class of top logo. So we see that's 22-point bold and so on. Over on the left-hand side is the only image on the page, and so the image element, we set the margins to force the positioning in the upper left corner just the way we want it. Then we set our default paragraph to be 10-point normal Arial. The back class, you may recall, is what gives us the textured background for the page. And there's a new attribute, background image, and its value is the location of a file, a URL. And it's in the images directory, and there's the file name. This image, by the way, is in the lab files if you downloaded those. Then we have the line coming events or activities, and that's done using class Bluer. That has a font family of Comic Sans MS, and if that's not available, any font in the Fantasy family will be chosen. The font style is oblique, and that's the leaning to the right a little bit, and it's 16-point blue. Bold 12 is used ubiquitously for most of our paragraphs, 12-point bold. Footer, let's go down here and reduce that. It's the line here, centered, small font, our copyright notice. The left is float left, and it's really just used on the image file, the logo. Left 5M says scoot everything over 5 M's, that is the width of 5-letter M's in the current font. And that's what we use to indent all the paragraphs for each event. The lesser class goes back up to the top of the page where we have this, our coming events. Down here. Technically, it's still part of our H1, but I wanted a smaller font, so I did a span of this text for class equals lesser. Norm 14 is used occasionally in this page. And then red, of course, you see several lines where we span with class equals red. And the subpoint is the class we use with these lines with click here to see who has already signed up to give us some extra margin. Thin, you may recall, I used that for some spacing between some different paragraphs just to position things nicely. And then under, text decoration underline. That's also used in the click here to see who has already signed up paragraphs. So those are the style rules that we're using, and that's the style sheet that we have for this page. In this video, we discussed how to create functions that accept parameters. Write the function header such that you use a variable name for information that might differ from instance to instance. In the function body, code your variable names to catch and use the values. The names you use in your function header and function body should not be the same as any variables outside the function. A good idea is to set up a naming convention so you're sure there won't be any confusion. For example, you might start all function variable names with the string f underscore and not allow variables outside the function to use names like that. In the next lesson, we get back to more HTML, using forms to get more information than just clicks, so we can better serve our clients. See you there.